Eberechi Eze's stats don't lie. 11 goals, 6 assists last season, and a creativity rate that rivals Özil in his prime.
I think he's the missing piece for Arsenal winning the Premier League, in my opinion.
But here's the catch. Arsenal's system demands more than just flair. Can Eze adapt to Arteta's rigid midfield structure? Or will his free-spirited style clash with the disciplined Rice-controlled setup? We're analysing the tactical fit and whether this signing could unlock Arsenal's Premier League 2026 title hope. Tottenham thought they had this deal wrapped up. Sources close to the negotiations revealed Spurs were deep in talks with Crystal Palace, even considering sending Richarlison the other way to make room. They'd been working on this move for weeks, confident Eze would boost their attack alongside Kudus and Maddison. Then Arsenal stepped in. Everything changed when Kai Havertz picked up an injury in training. Arsenal's staff realised they needed another creative option immediately.
The final sort of piece of the jigsaw really being the injury to Kai Havertz. We don't know exactly how bad that is, but it's bad enough.
Though they'd shown interest in Eze back in June, they'd focused on other targets until that moment. Within 48 hours, their transfer team contacted Palace with a firm £60 million offer, plus £7.5 million in potential add-ons, matching Tottenham's bid exactly. Financial details show why Palace accepted. They guaranteed £60 million up front fit their valuation, especially with Eze's release clause having expired. But the real twist came when Eze himself made his preference clear. As a childhood Arsenal supporter, he pushed for the move to North London, despite Spurs having laid more groundwork. Negotiations accelerated faster than anyone expected once Arsenal engaged directly with the player. This wasn't just about filling a squad need. Arsenal's data team had tracked Eze's performances since his QPR days, noting his improvement in chance creation and ball progression under Palace. With Tottenham scrambling after missing out on other targets like Gibbs-White, Arsenal seized the opportunity to land a direct rival's priority signing while addressing their own injury crisis. Medical staff completed the assessments within 72 hours of initial contact. Unlike drawn-out sagas like Mudryk, this deal progressed with startling efficiency once both clubs agreed on structure. The final fee could reach £67.5 million if all performance bonuses trigger. But Arsenal secured payment terms that spread the financial impact over multiple seasons. For Palace, losing their star was softened by receiving a sum exceeding what they'd have gotten from his expired clause. What looked like Tottenham's deal became Arsenal's statement signing in a matter of days. The speed of execution showed their recruitment team operating at peak efficiency, turning a positional need into a strategic victory over their closest rivals. Now the question shifts from how they got him to where he fits in Arteta's system. Arteta's system famously demands structure, but Eze brings something Arsenal haven't had since Alexis Sanchez, a player who completes 3.5 dribbles per game while maintaining 85% pass accuracy in the final third. That combination of flair and precision explains why the Gunners pushed so hard for this signing. But fitting a natural free roamer into Arteta's 4-3-3, it requires compromise from both player and manager. Defensive work rate remains the biggest question. Eze averages just 1.2 tackles per 90 minutes, far below Martinelli's 1.8 or Odegaard's league-leading pressing numbers. When Rice anchors midfield, Arsenal's system relies on every attacker contributing out of possession. Yet, Eze's offensive output, it suggests he doesn't need to match Martinelli's defensive intensity to justify his place. His 1.15 goal contributions per 90 minutes last season, it would have ranked second at Arsenal, only behind Saka. The left wing presents the clearest solution. Eze's ability to cut inside or drive to the byline gives Arteta options Havertz doesn't provide. His 4.25 dribbles attempted per game dwarfed Trossard's 1.7, offering a directness that could punish teams sitting deep. Crucially, Eze's 82% pass completion under pressure suggests he can retain possession even when crowded, a must for Arsenal's build-up against high presses. Midfield remains possible too. While not a direct Odegaard replacement, Eze's 2.07 key passes per game nearly match the captain's 2.3. What he lacks in defensive positioning, he makes up for with verticality. His 5.13 progressive carries per 90 would have led Arsenal's midfield last season. Arteta could employ him as an advanced 8 in certain matchups, using his ball carrying to bypass opposition presses. The most promising aspect might be Eze's versatility. Unlike Özil, who famously struggled when asked to defend, Eze has played left-back in youth systems. That positional awareness, it shows in his 1v1 interceptions per game, decent for an attacker. Arteta won't reshape his entire system, but minor tweaks, like allowing Rice to cover more ground when Eze cuts inside, could unlock his potential without sacrificing defensive solidity. This isn't about forcing a square peg into a round hole. Eze's 48.65% dribble success rate against low blocks directly addresses Arsenal's struggles against parked buses. If he maintains his Palace output while adapting to Arteta's defensive demands, the Gunners may have finally found their creative spark against stubborn defenses. But that's a big if, one that could define their season. Arsenal scored 69 goals last season, but the gap to Manchester City's 72 shows the brutal standards they're up against. Eze's arrival could be the difference, with the winger contributing 11 goals and 6 assists in his last campaign. Those numbers don't tell the full story. His underlying stats suggest even more potential. Eze averages 0.29 expected goals per 90 minutes, putting him in the top 20% of Premier League attackers. His playmaking is equally strong, with 0.31 expected assists that rank higher than 94% of players. The real value might come from how Eze changes Arsenal's attacking dynamics. Last season, defenses could focus on stopping Bukayo Saka, knowing he carried most of the creative load. Eze, he changes that. On the left wing, he takes pressure off Saka by giving Arsenal another consistent threat. His 8 assists last season included crosses, through balls, and drives into the box, exactly the variety Arsenal lacked from their left side. 2 players accounting for close to 20 expected goal contributions shifts the math significantly. But can they sustain it? City's depth mean they don't just rely on 1 or 2 players. Arsenal will need consistency across 38 games, especially since Eze isn't a machine. He converts 46% of his shots on target, but only takes about 2 per match. The concern isn't just whether he can maintain his output, but whether Arsenal have enough other options when he has an off day. His 0.46 goal involvements per 90 look strong on paper, but history shows even top players have stretches when those numbers dip. That's why Eze shouldn't be seen as the single solution. He's the piece that unlocks others. Saka gets more space, Odegaard finds another passing outlet, and the strikers receive better service. If everything clicks, 100 goals isn't out of reach, but football rarely works that cleanly. City's system, it's been fine-tuned over years, while Arsenal are still building. Eze's numbers suggests he can help close that gap, but turning potential into consistent production is where the real challenge begins. The next question is whether his body can handle it. Eberechi Eze's injury history can't be ignored. He missed 10 league games last season alone. That's a problem for an Arsenal squad still recovering from Timber's ACL rupture and Partey's persistent muscle issues. When your system requires players to cover 10 to 12 kilometers per game at high intensity, durability becomes as important as talent. Eze's absence at Palace mostly stemmed from soft tissue injuries, hamstring strains, calf tweaks, the exact type of issues that worsen under heavy workloads. Arsenal's medical team already has a plan to mitigate risks. They'll likely limit Eze's training minutes between matches, something they've done successfully with Odegaard. Sports scientists will monitor his muscle fatigue through GPS data and blood markers. But the real challenge comes during fixture congestion. When Arsenal play every 3 days in December, rotating him becomes tricky, given the drop-off to backups like Trossard. The numbers show concerning patterns. Eze has averaged 25 missed days per season since joining Palace in 2020. His 1,892 minutes last campaign pale next to Saka's 3,200 plus. For £67.5 million, Arsenal need him available for the big moments, those tight away games where his dribbling can break low blocks. Yet, muscle injuries tend to recur. Just look at Jesus' ongoing knee problems after initial setbacks. Arteta's solution might be strategic rest. Eze could sit out early cup rounds or certain away matches, where physicality trumps creativity. But that risks disrupting rhythm, as seen when Pep rotated Grealish too frequently last season. There's also the psychological aspect, players protecting themselves subconsciously after injuries, like Pepe did post-COVID. This isn't just about one player. If Eze misses 10 to 15 games, it strains an attack already lacking depth beyond Saka. Martinelli would face renewed pressure to recapture his 22-23 form, while Havertz's inconsistent finishing becomes more glaring. The North London power balance could hinge on something as simple as Eze's hamstrings holding up through 38 games. For all the excitement over his creativity, Arsenal's medical staff face an equally important battle behind the scenes. The club's title hope might depend on their ability to keep him fit longer than Palace ever could. Eze's signing represents more than just a short-term boost. It's Arsenal's statement of intent for the next era. With Tottenham left frustrated by the sudden move, the North London power shift could hinge on whether Eze delivers lasting value. At £67.5 million, the risk is real, especially given his injury history. But the potential reward, a creative force who finally helps Arsenal break their Premier League drought, could justify the gamble. Arteta now has a squad capable of challenging City's dominance. The question isn't just about this season, it's whether Eze becomes the catalyst for sustained success, or another expensive what if. Time will tell.